They say the eyes of a cat can pierce the soul, that in the flicker of a candle's light, those glowing orbs whisper of something darker, witchcraft, demons, even death itself. In the Middle Ages, cats were not the playful companions we adore today, they were the midnight shadows people feared, believed to be vessels of the devil himself. But why did a creature so silent, so elegant, become the most feared animal in medieval Europe? Tonight, we step into a world of superstition and terror, where every hiss was a curse, every black tail a death omen, and every purr an echo of the underworld. To understand this twisted belief, we must step back into the medieval world, a time when the church ruled with unshakable authority, when plagues, famine, and war stalked every village, and when the unknown was explained not by science, but by fear. The medieval mind was drenched in superstition. Every storm, every sickness, every misfortune, was believed to be the work of dark forces, and cats, creatures who moved silently through the night, with eyes that glowed like embers, fit perfectly into that narrative. The church declared the world divided, God's light on one side, Satan's shadows on the other. Anything that could not be controlled, understood, or explained was cast into the darkness, and the cat, that mysterious nocturnal wanderer, became the perfect suspect. Imagine a medieval town at night. The streets are empty. The only light flickers from torches. Somewhere, in the silence, a cat darts across a stone path. Its sudden movement feels unnatural. Its eyes catch the moonlight. To the villager who sees it, this is not a mere animal, it is a spirit, a messenger, a warning. The belief that cats were evil was not born overnight. It spread slowly, fed by whispers, by sermons, by stories retold in firelit taverns. One of the earliest damning associations came from the church itself. In the 13th century, Pope Gregory IX issued a papal decree, declaring cats, especially black ones, agents of Satan. According to his decree, they were linked to devil worship, to witchcraft, to heresy. This single proclamation ignited centuries of fear. Suddenly, cats were not just animals, they were demons in fur, they were witches in disguise, they were spies for the devil, lurking in barns and alleys, waiting to strike. The stories grew darker with every telling. It was said witches could transform themselves into cats, slipping through locked doors to curse their victims. Some tales whispered that Satan himself took the form of a black cat during rituals, accepting the blood sacrifices of his followers. In English folklore, a witch's spirit familiar was almost always a cat, an animal that carried her power, her secrets, her malice. To own a black cat was to invite suspicion. To feed one, to care for one, was to risk accusation of sorcery. Cats were accused of drinking the breath of infants as they slept. If a child died in its cradle, the village would point to the family cat as the murderer. And when plague swept through Europe, killing millions, who did people blame? The mysterious, roaming cats. Some believed they carried the devil's disease, spreading death with every step. This paranoia had consequences. Across Europe, cats were hunted, tortured, and burned alive. Villagers would gather in town squares, tossing black cats into flames, convinced they were destroying evil. But in their fear, they made a fatal mistake. By killing cats, they allowed rats, and the fleas they carried, to multiply unchecked. The very creatures spreading the Black Death, in trying to destroy evil, they had invited it closer. In France, during certain feast days, black cats were rounded up and thrown into bonfires as a form of purification. Crowds cheered as the animals screamed, believing the flames destroyed witchcraft. In Belgium, a festival known as Kattenstoot began in Ypres, where cats were hurled from church towers. Why? Because they were believed to be cursed objects, carriers of misfortune. Though today the event is symbolic, in the Middle Ages, real cats died in terror. In parts of Germany, it was believed that if a black cat crossed your path, it wasn't merely bad luck, it meant a demon had walked before you. Some would spit 3 times to ward it off, others would pray, and some even carried holy relics in their pockets for protection. A chilling superstition spread that witches could take 9 forms, and most often one of them was a cat. This gave rise to the enduring myth of cats having 9 lives. To the medieval villager, this wasn't a charming phrase, it was proof of a sinister power. During witch trials, cats were often dragged into court as evidence. Women accused of sorcery were said to converse with their cats in the dark. If the animal appeared in the courtroom, it was seen as the devil himself come to protect his servant. There are even records of trials where cats were executed alongside their owners, hanged, burned, or drowned in rivers as if they too were guilty. But why cats? Perhaps because they lived half in shadow, half in light. They wandered freely between the safety of hearths and the danger of wilderness. They seemed untamed, even when domesticated. Unlike dogs, cats could not be trained to serve. They obeyed no master, and in a society obsessed with obedience to authority, church, crown, law, that independence was threatening, the way cats stared, unblinking, unsettled people, the way they vanished into the night without a sound felt supernatural, and their screams, when mating or fighting, echoed like the cries of tortured souls. To the medieval imagination, it was undeniable, these were not normal animals, they were otherworldly. Here lies the cruel irony, the very animal blamed for bringing death could have been the savior. Cats were natural hunters of vermin. Had they been protected instead of destroyed, the plague may have claimed fewer lives. But medieval Europe could not see this truth. They saw only omens, shadows, whispers of witchcraft, and perhaps that was the real evil, not the cats themselves, but the human mind, so desperate for an enemy, it turned an innocent creature into a monster. Even more chilling, the superstition never truly died. Even today, black cats are avoided by some, believed to bring bad luck, a superstition that stretches like a ghostly hand from the medieval world into our modern lives. And yet, in other cultures, the cat was sacred. In ancient Egypt, cats were revered as divine protectors, guardians of the home, embodiments of the goddess Bastet. But in medieval Europe, that legacy was forgotten, replaced by fear and fire. So the next time you see a cat watching you from the shadows, ask yourself, is it just an animal, or is it a reflection of centuries of fear, suspicion, and death, staring back at you with eyes that still hold the secrets of the Dark Ages? Because in the silence of history, one truth remains: it wasn't the cats who were evil, it was us.